mostly sunny 88 on Wednesday. Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
1410 Wing AM, Dayton's ESPN Radio, powered by
free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
What defines Ohio? A place that dares to go first and never looks back. There's no slowing us down. At Jobs Ohio, our mission is clear. Strengthen job opportunities and empower Ohio's workforce. Another reason why Ohio is now ranked the #1 state for business by CNBC. This is what unstoppable feels like. We did it together, Ohio. Our time is now. See Ohio's momentum at jobsohio.com/Ohio's time.
Brian Setzer, Slim Jim Phantom, Lee Rocker, The Stray Cats, U.S. Tour. We're gonna rock this town, rock it inside out. August 10th, Rose Music Center at the Heights.
I got cat class and I got cat style.
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com and the Rose Music Center box office.
Slip into the end with the runaway boys. Where you're sexy
The Stray Cats Live.
Upgrade to a new quality bath remodel in less time with minimal inconvenience and for less money with Bath Creations in as little as 2 days. We do it right. There are a lot of others boasting about bath remodels these days. Well, Bath Creations' expert craftsmanship and customer service speaks for itself. Plus, all first responders, veterans, and active military will save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit our beautiful showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or at mybathcreations.com and upgrade your new bath today.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Exactly, Stephen A. He's been here for 10 years, and we're still trying to figure him out. The Justin Kenner Show, weekdays at 3 p.m., right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. You want hot takes?
No, I'm not going to apologize to Ryan Day. Everything we said about Ryan Day up until the playoffs was true.
Not bad. Come on, Kenner. You can do better than that.
To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished.
Getting better.
1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them.
There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kenner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Justin Kenner Show here on a Monday. Hope you all had a great weekend. Busy Monday. It's the MLB Trade Deadline, at least not this exact second, but coming up. All right, coming up at 6 o'clock later on this evening. That's, well, how much longer all these teams across Major League Baseball, including your Cincinnati Reds, have to get a deal done to bolster their roster or to bolster their future. And apparently the Reds are in a position where you can't bolster your roster and bolster your future at the same time. There seems to be a line drawn in the sand amongst Reds fans that the Reds are the dumbest organization in the world for trying to remain competitive to make the playoffs this season. You know, and I feel like everyone's upset. Everyone's upset right now with the Cincinnati Reds, with their approach, the fact that we are just a few hours away from the trade deadline, and yet the Reds have not done anything. But that's the thing. You guys are saying that the Reds have not done anything, but I think that is them doing a lot. You know, to me, I went to the Reds Pirates finale yesterday, and you know, the Reds wrapped up that series with Pittsburgh. They take 3 or 4 from Pittsburgh. They took 2 or 3 from the Cardinals. They've won 3 of the first 4 series coming out of the All-Star break. They're within striking distance of a playoff spot. And yet I'm amazed at how many of you just don't give a damn. How many of you are more worried about the Reds' playoff chances future years from now than this year right now? Like, I think that's really kind of the confusion that I have for what you guys truly want at this point. What is it that you truly want the Reds to do? You guys are obsessed with prospects. You're obsessed with this team trying to win in the future. You're obsessed with the Reds making moves that have an impact on this team for every year but this year. I mean, I don't understand how, if the Reds truly do make it to the 6 o'clock deadline coming up and don't make a move, how you could count that as doing nothing. To me, that counts as doing a lot. To me, that counts as this team making moves or not making moves to make a move at a playoff spot, which that's what I want from my teams. I tune in to watch my teams compete and compete for the postseason, and compete for championships. I get that there's levels to this. The Reds, I don't look at them and say, oh, that's a World Series team, but I do look at them with that pitching staff and with the way that this team's been swinging the bat as of late, and they've looked like a new team coming out of the All-Star break. I don't know why in the hell so many of you are against this team trying to compete to make the playoffs this season. You're so obsessed with the future, the future, the future. When is the future now? I've asked that question for years. Every year at the deadline, we do the same song and dance. No matter, because all of you, it's like if this team's not good enough to win a World Series, this team shouldn't try to they should not try to compete to win now. Is the only bar, and I think that's a very rich bar to have for a team that hasn't won a World Series in 30 freaking years. All right, so I'm tired of that. Reds fans at some point, like Nick Krall could be a problem. This front office is a problem. The ownership's a problem. Baseball could be a problem with the way it's set up now. But at some point, Reds fans, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you're kind of the problem too. Because is the only thing that matters is this team. Like if this team's not in a position to win a World Series, they should just constantly blow up their roster every time. Because I don't know about you, but we were all excited on opening day, and I don't think a single one of us truly looked at this team and thought that's a World Series team. We thought that this was a team that would be good enough to compete for a playoff spot. And that was all good enough for us on opening day, but it's no longer good enough for us here as we sit here in early August. What the hell do you want? I know what you want. You want the same thing I do. I want this team to be in position to win a World Series, but that's just not the realistic, circumstances at the moment. So are you guys truly saying that the Reds, they're not in the World Series contention, they should just blow this all up? That doesn't make any sense to me. This team is actually... They're solid. They're solid. They're in the playoff picture. You get rid of Brady Singer, they will not be in the playoff picture. You get rid of Tyler Stevenson and Brady Singer and Eugenio Suarez and Nathaniel Lowe and J.J. Bleday and Brock Burke and Caleb Ferguson. You get rid of all these guys, this team's no longer competitive. But hey, the future, the future, the future, just so that we can get to the future and have you crybabies do the same thing. Well, the future that we were talking about a few years ago is here, and, we're good, but we're not World Series good, so we should just blow it up again and start over. What is wrong with you guys? I don't get you. So this report came out just a little bit ago that I thought this was interesting, that and Reds fans are losing their mind on social media, that right now, when it comes to the fact that the Reds have yet to make a move, and if the Reds make a move in the middle of me talking or the middle of a segment, I apologize, I'm on live. Large market radio here in Dayton. I don't have a team of 5 producers. I don't have a stat guy. I don't have any of that stuff. All right. It's Dayton. Give me a break. All right. So I'll try to follow up with this and keep up with this as best I can. All right. But this story that just came out a little before the show started, a couple minutes before, shocking Reds trade deadline report raises major questions, according to Cincinnati Reds and Sports Illustrated. Okay. Just days after Brady Singer appeared to be one of the Reds' most likely trade candidates, the organization's plans may have taken a dramatic turn. According to a new report from The Athletic, Cincinnati is now expected to keep the veteran right-hander through the remainder of the season, with the possibility of extending him a qualifying offer once he reaches free agency. That's great. Why are you guys mad at that? So many people are upset about it. I get that you have an opinion on that and you have a reason for feeling that way. I just think that reason is stupid. I'm so tired of hearing about the future. Well, he's really good right now. They can get prospects for him, or they can keep said good pitcher and said good pitcher can maybe continue to help them win some games instead of sending him off somewhere else to help that team win games. And then you just get a bunch of prospects, and prospects are suspects until proven otherwise. So what are we doing here? Ken Rosenthal had this to say about the situation. The Cincinnati Reds appear likely to hold potential free agent right-hander Brady Singer and potentially make him a qualifying offer at the end of the season. A person briefed on their thinking, granted, an anonymous take on this to discuss the plans and open up to them and yada, yada. Just cool. I'm not saying like I'm a humongous fan. If the Reds move on from Brady Singer, I would be slightly annoyed with it, but he may not be into their plans financially. But if he is, this is a team, by the way, that on paper, I love this rotation. I love the Hunter Green. I love the Chase Burns and the Nick Lodolos and the Andrew Abbotts and the Rhett Louders. I love those guys, but guess what? 1 to 2 of those guys are always hurt at all times. Hunter Green always goes on his 1 to 2 month long vacation in the middle of the season every year. All right. Nick Lodolo, just looks at a baseball and gets a blister, and he's out for an extended amount of time every time. I like Andrew Abbott. I like Rhett Lauder, but he's been banged up at times or he's been roughed up at times when he's on the mound. The bottom line is I really like this rotation. But this rotation has had, the one thing that they haven't been able to prove to me and you and everyone is that it's a durable rotation. Brady Singer's been fairly durable, and he's been a very good veteran presence to balance out the youth and inexperience in this rotation as guys like Chase Burns and others come along. Hunter Green has reached that veteran, experience now. Same thing with Nick Lodolo, but, those guys got to remain out there. Rhett Lauder's coming along a couple years into the league, right? Chase Burns, who just signed that 7-year extension, or at least just the reworked contract, but he's locked into Cincinnati on an average of $15 million a year. They have him through, the next 7 years. He's not even one technically full calendar year, or maybe just a hair over a full calendar year into his career. So I don't know why you guys want to move. Why do you want to move on from Brady Singer? That's the question I have. Why are you guys so obsessed with moving on from Brady Singer? That's the question I have. All right. Troy says they have about a 3% shot at the playoffs. I know that that's some website that says that, ESPN and others. They're 5.5 games back. They play every damn team that's ahead of them in the standings right now. It's a big cluster there in the middle. The Reds, actually, I don't care that it says 3%, Troy. You could say that, and I know that technically they found some mathematical equation to say that. I don't care what that says. What I see is a team with a very, very good rotation. What I see is a team that's finally starting to put the bat on the ball and put some runs up on the board. What I see is a team that's starting to win some series and make up games in the standings and are actually a force to deal with right now. What I see is a team that is led by Sal Stewart and Ellie De La Cruz, and Tyler Stevenson starting to swing the bat. He could be gone by 6 o'clock. What I see is a team with a pretty damn good rotation that has two guys at the top that are fringe top 10 pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, and Chase Burns and, of course, Hunter Green. Nick Lodolo starting a rehab assignment to come back sooner rather than later. The bullpen has been pretty damn good. I mean, that's what I see. So 3% be damned. I'm not yelling at you, Troy. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, I don't care what the calculators and the analytics and whatever ESPN used to calculate that 3%, because I did see it too, and I rolled my eyes at it. I don't care. The bottom line is that the Reds right now, to sit there and punt on the season because an article on ESPN.com said it's a 3% shot. I don't care. I don't care about that. What I care about who this team is right now. 5.5 games out with a very good rotation and a lineup that's starting to pop a little bit. I'll take that. Other teams are starting to slump. The Reds are starting to take off, and the Reds can hit a slump and cool off and not make the playoffs, and the chances of that could potentially be high. But at least, damn it, I'm going to feel like Terry Francona gave it his all, that the front office, who made mistakes in the offseason, at least didn't kick the can down the road and say, we're quitting and waving the white flag, that the players are continuing to compete. The players 8 games back at the trade deadline, or I'm sorry, at the All-Star break, 8 games back and 16 games back, they could have said, this season's over. We don't give a damn. But no, they came out and they started swinging, figuratively and literally. They've come out, and this doesn't look like a team that's quit. This doesn't look like a team that has, started to look to next season. You literally have player Tyler Stevenson loves it in Cincinnati. You saw the emotion from him in the postgame yesterday after what could potentially have been his final game as a Red. This is a guy that when he debuted back in 2020, he was drafted by the Reds in 16. He debuted in 20. It was the first home run that he hit, I believe. His first at bat was a home run, and potentially his last at bat as a Red could potentially have been a home run. But you have guys that love it here. Like, I'm just saying, I do think that this team has a chance. I don't care what the 3% chance is. So Troy says too many teams ahead of them. 5 games. What do you mean too many teams ahead of them? 5 games, and they play all those teams coming up. The Pirates were ahead of them. They just took 3 or 4 from them. The Cardinals were ahead of them. They took 2 or 3 from them. Like, what do you mean there's too many teams? They play these teams still. They can control that. All right, you talk about 3% chance of them making the playoffs. It's 0% chance of making the playoffs if they get rid of Brady Singer, get rid of Nathaniel Lowe. All right, if they get rid of the pieces that are actually contributing towards this team being in the mix. So I don't think that there's too many. There's too many teams that are all within the same record, and you play all those teams, which means you can go out there and will yourself into this situation. What Shaw says, buy or sell, they should do something. I think, look, at the end of the day right now, you also have teams like the Reds who, with the unknown of next season, whether there'll even be a season or not, I don't think that there will be. And if we're lucky, there'll be some kind of COVID truncated season of 60 games or 80 games or whatever it was, a few years ago. I don't know. We're definitely not getting a full season in, and I'll be shocked if we get any of next season in, which also puts these teams in a position of, do we really want to, add a lot? But the Reds are in a position where I think by them doing nothing is something to me. It is something. But by moving on from guys, selling guys, is waving the white flag and quitting. I think I'm just tired of every team always constantly quitting because of the future. Well, a couple years ago, you made moves to put yourself in position to be within the playoff conversation in the future, and the future is now, and now that's not good enough, and kicking the can down the road, continuing to do that over and over and over. It's a mess. I don't like it. I'm tired of it. I want to be a fan of a team that's regularly in the playoff conversation, that's regularly in the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year. They're back in the playoff conversation right now. All right. This roster has flaws. It has deficiencies, but I'm sorry, but it's always going to. It's never going to be a perfect roster. I want it to look like the Dodgers. Don't we all? Wishful thinking. But it's hard to even be in this situation that the Reds are in right now. It's hard to build a roster or have a team that's, well into the playoff conversation, this deep into the season as much as they are right now. And to just wave the white flag and just quit? No. I'm sorry. Look, if they move on from guys, okay, fine. I'm not thrilled about it. I'd understand it. But you're never going to get me to agree with you guys that quitting is the right. Oh, I love it. I mean, there are going to be pockets of you fans that are going to be weird as hell and be happy that your team quit on the season. It's early August with 2 months left to go. You're within 5 games of a playoff spot, and you are going to cheer that the Reds quit on the season because we're going to get some team's, 135th ranked prospect for Eugenio Suarez. Score. Good for us. That's a win. Can't wait for the future to be right back in the same spot where you guys are so obsessed with the future that you don't give a damn about the now. You guys care about the next 2 or 3 years. I care about the next 2 months. I don't know. I can't believe so many Reds fans are fans of quitting. You want this team to quit and wave the white flag. I don't get that. I don't understand it. Can't support it. Won't support it. More of the Justin Kinner Show when we come back.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55 plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it.
Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of essentials. Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
Drip Drop is doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Trusted by firefighters, medical professionals, and over 90% of top college and pro sports teams. Drip Drop is engineered to hydrate faster and more effectively than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use promo code RADIO20 for 20% off your first order. That's dripdrop.com, promo code RADIO20.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-294-0222. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-294-0222. 0222. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-294-0222. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a social media manager.
Did you just post our Q4 earnings to your personal social media?
Oh yeah, used a trending audio and everything.
That's confidential financial data.
Relax. It only went a little viral.
The SEC just commented with the eyeball watching emoji.
This is the job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account. When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything. Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
The gloves are off, celebrating their 20th anniversary.
Welcome to the circus.
Five Finger Death Punch, the most anticipated concert of the year, with very special guest Cody Chase. Plus Eva Under Fire, August 10th, Riverbend Music Center. Five Finger Death Punch. On sale now at Ticketmaster.com and Riverbend.org. 20 years of Five Finger Death Punch.
Hi, guys. This is the Rocket Roger Clemens. You don't pitch in the majors for 24 years without feeling it later. Shoulders, elbows, knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do.
That's baseball legend Roger Clemens.
I tried the ice. I tried rest, PT, nothing really worked. When I heard about QC Kinetics, the concept sounded promising. Non-surgical regenerative treatments that help your body heal itself without surgery. Sign me up, just what I needed, real lasting relief.
Whether you're a former pro, a weekend golfer, or just want to walk around pain-free again, QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge technology and natural biologics to help restore and repair damaged tissue.
I trusted them with my joints. Now I'm back doing what I love.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
Coming up in hour two, we'll hear from Paul Keels and get our Buckeye Camp Report. We'll have our Buckeye Camp Report every day during the show at 4 o'clock, so keep that in mind. We'll have that coming up for you here just around the corner. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a Monday. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Reds coming out of the weekend, taking 3 of 4 from the Pirates, off tonight, but a busy night tonight as the Major League Baseball trade deadline approaches. 6 o'clock. That's how long all the teams have to get any of their final deals done, or at least underway. You'll notice throughout, even an hour, 2 hours after the deadline wraps up, more and more trade news comes out. A lot of those deals, starting before technically the 6 o'clock deadline, but ironing out those final deals. Who knows? But we're going to be having some of that stuff trickle in as the night goes on. But the bottom line is there's been so much to be made about all the possibilities of what the Reds could do at this deadline. From the Caleb Fergusons to the Brock Burks, to the Brady Singers, to the Eugenio Suarez's, to the Tyler Stevensons, to the J.J. Bledays, the Nathaniel Lowe's. I mean, it's been crazy that there have been more reports coming out about names like Hunter Green and even Ellie De La Cruz, which don't get me started on that. I've heard those names in conversations more than the guys that we expected to be moved. But yet here we are, at least as we sit here at 3:22 p.m. on a Monday, less than 3 hours away from the trade deadline. The Reds have not moved anybody yet. And I look at this team right now that dug themselves quite a hole, injuries and just a slump that they could not literally hit themselves out of. but all of a sudden look like a different team coming out of the All-Star break and are within 5.5 games of a playoff spot, which I don't know why people act like that's a huge number. It's like I would like that to be 4.5, 3.5, 2.5. I'd like them to be actually holding on to one of those final playoff spots. But this idea that this team has a 0% chance of making the playoffs is just ridiculous. And to me, how you make that number 0% chance of making the playoffs is to just get rid of guys that you brought here to compete for the playoffs. No one thought on opening day that this team with this roster as constructed was a World Series team. I didn't. But again, it has been nice to look at a Reds team and have the expectations of them to be in the playoffs and be in playoff contention. This team was built to be a playoff team, and they're still within the playoff conversation. And yet, too many bozos who are Reds fans are so obsessed with prospects that can help us win in 2030. Yeah, y'all live in 2030. I'm going to enjoy 2026. And hopefully after 6 o'clock tonight, still enjoy a team that is intact enough to go compete to still make the playoffs. This team coming out of the All-Star break looks like how we had all hoped that they would have played in the first half. A lot of factors played a role in that not being the case. But this team is hitting better. They're getting run support. The bullpen's been, very, very good. The rotation's been solid. Hunter Green and, of course, Chase Burns are going out there and doing their thing now. Of course, they're close to get a Nick Lodolo back. This team is looking like how we expected them to look in the first half. And although they did dig themselves a hole, I don't think they've dug themselves a hole that they can't dig themselves out of unless you move on from the names that you brought in the offseason to help put you into this situation, being in this playoff conversation. They should move on from Brock Burke and Caleb Ferguson. They should move on from Eugenio Suarez. They should move on from JJ Bleday. They should move on from, or let those guys continue doing their job and continue to put this team in position to be in the playoff conversation, which is what I want. That's what I want. I want a playoff caliber team. I want a team competing for the playoffs. I want a team in the playoffs. And if I get what I want, the chances of the Reds making the playoffs are significantly higher than if you get what you want, which is blow it up, get rid of everyone. Oh, but don't trade Hunter Green and Ellie De La Cruz because they give us our best chance to win. You can't win with those cats if you just trade everyone away the second this team doesn't look even remotely close to what you want them to look like. I've accepted that in today's day and age of baseball, this is just never going to be a World Series caliber team. Not with this ownership, and this ownership is going nowhere. This ownership is going nowhere. But even with all their limitations, even with all the issues that they have, this is a competitive team that's still in the playoff conversation, coming off of a playoff appearance last year. Do I want more? Absolutely. But I'm not going to be like, I just think there's way too many of you who are so miserable that, this team can't win a World Series. I'm angry. Blow it all up. You need to expand your expectations just a little bit. I don't think that I'm crazy for wanting my team to be in the playoffs and compete for the playoffs. I don't get why that's wrong. I think it would be silly. So this report that came out earlier, and I haven't seen anything updated on this. I haven't seen any, update on any moves that the Reds have made. It's just one of those things where I'm sitting back and waiting. It sounds like they are potentially not going to move on from Brady Singer, which has been a very, very good starting pitcher for the Reds this year. He's been a very good starting pitcher for the Reds since they got him when they traded their former Rookie of the Year and Jonathan India away a few years back. But he has come in and has done exactly what was expected of him, to be that veteran arm in a youth-filled rotation. Well, guess what? It's still a youth-filled rotation that needs his veteran arm. And there is reports that the Reds have interest in, they don't have an interest in moving on from him, and they actually have an interest in extending a qualifying offer at the tail end of the season because they like him in this rotation. Keep in mind, with all the uncertainty, I don't think that there was a lot of momentum to moving on from Hunter Green, but I think that they're setting the stages to move on from Hunter Green because I think that's why they've entertained so much conversation about it. And I think that Brady Singer, a veteran arm to pair with, of course, an Andrew Abbott and with their new ace and Chase Burns, it's one of those where they have to have something in the cabinet, in the cupboard, to fall back on if they do pull the trigger when they come across a deal that makes sense to move on from Hunter Green, because they will not extend him here in a few years. So I think it makes a lot of sense from that perspective. Everyone is so angry anytime that the Reds want to keep this team, we talked about it. They have depth in the rotation, or they don't have depth with this rotation. They don't have depth in the lineup. So I look at this lineup, and one of the few players that you can count on offensively, JJ Bleday, you want to get rid of. Nathaniel Lowe has been a very good, for them adding him as late as they did in the offseason. He's been very, very solid for them. One of the few pieces you can count on. You want to get rid of that. The rotation, not a lot. We know that this team doesn't have a lot of depth in the rotation. But you want to move on from Brady Singer? and then complain over the final couple months because this team can't win games like that. That's the thing. You guys aren't going to be happy. You're not going to be happy if this team keeps its roster intact to try to compete and win games and compete for the playoffs. You'll be pissed off and miserable there. And then when they move on from these guys and don't compete and can't win because you took a team that's not very deep in a lot of positions to begin with and make them even weaker. And then when they start losing games, you're going to be upset at that. You're just upset. You're just a bunch of crybabies. You're upset about everything at all aspects, all hours of the day. It's emotionally exhausting. I can't keep up with it. And that's coming from someone like me, who a lot of people deem to be a very negative person. And at times I can be. But I also feel like I'm being pretty realistic here. I know the limitations of how this front office operates. I saw Shaw's comment in there. Oh, yeah, they need to go get MLB ready talent right now. Well, yeah. I want $1 million. Not going to get it. Of course we want that. But all my opinions and all my views on the Reds are all built around understanding how this team operates. Simple as that. I'm not crazy here. I'm not making, I don't understand how I'm the bad guy for wanting my team to compete for the playoffs. That doesn't make me crazy. Definitely doesn't make me wrong. But I do think it's wrong if you want this team to constantly go prospect hunting to build for the future, because we never know when the future. You sound like the Philadelphia 76ers who trust the process, but the process hasn't getting you anywhere. And unless there's the equivalent of LeBron James that's going to come bail your franchise out, I have no clue what the process is when it comes to the Reds. But I do know that whatever the process was enough to put this team in contention to make the playoffs last year and still be within striking distance of a playoff appearance this season. Roll with that. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show. We're going to get into the Dodgers in a moment. Reds or the Dodgers, which franchise do you think is worse for Major League Baseball? Which one do you think is hurting baseball more? We'll get into that coming up here around the corner as well. But I will be keeping an eye again on the trade deadline. And I saw someone say a quote from Nick Kroll that, hey, look, I thought the trade deadline was tomorrow. I'm even a little surprised that there have been no moves made. I think I saw something else from Shaw says, I don't want them to go get prospects. I want MLB ready talent. I guess that's the difference between you and I. No, I want them to get MLB ready talent, but how do you suggest they do that knowing how they operate? Because that's how my opinions are formed, is knowing how they operate. Yes, I would like them to go get MLB ready talent, but to do that, you would have to do what? Trade your top prospects? That's something that they're not willing to do. Well, then they should trade Tyler Stevenson. Great. You trade Tyler Stevenson to go get an outfielder. Now you're weak at catcher. And then you're going to bitch and complain in the back half of the season because this team has no catcher. Well, you solve one problem. It's like whack-a-mole. You hit the mole there, the problem pops up somewhere else. So to me, doing nothing at this deadline is actually doing a lot. It's keeping a playoff competitive roster intact to compete for the playoffs over the final 2 months. You guys act like there's only like a couple weeks left of the season. 2 months of the season. 2 months. That's a lot of season left. But again, trade deadline coming up at 6. How about this? The Pirates did acquire Luke Weaver. That came out a little bit ago for Sammy Stafura. Again, the Pirates are acquiring Luke Weaver from the Mets per John Heyman. And they move on from, Sammy Stafura. Stafura was originally traded by the Reds to the Pirates for Brian Hayes. And now the Pirates have used that pick to help them land Luke Weaver, who has an ERA sitting at 1.8 in 42 appearances coming out of the bullpen. Nonetheless, the Pirates starting to slip and slide a little bit. This is a team that was, again, you look at where the Reds were and where the Pirates were coming out of the All-Star break. It's kind of one of those things you keep an eye on that. And the Pirates have just really slumped coming out of the All-Star break, while the Reds have caught fire a bit. But, they've lost 7 of the last 10, the Pirates, including 3 of the last 4 to the Cincinnati Reds in that series at Great American Ballpark. The Reds have won 6 of their last 10. They're within 5.5. And guess what? Teams that are ahead of them in the standings, the Nationals, the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Marlins, the Padres, the Phillies. And, you look at the Phillies right now, the Phillies are 3-7 in their last 10. They're struggling as well. So I talked about all those teams that are ahead of the Reds. I've made this point a while, but guess who the Reds have coming up with? They play Washington. They play Miami. They play the Cardinals. They play the Diamondbacks. They play the Cubs. They play the Padres. All those teams ahead of the Reds in the standings, and guess what? They play every single one of them. The Reds have a chance. They have a chance. They have a shot. So this idea that the Reds need to trade away everyone, all these expiring contracts to get prospects for the future. I mean, I'm not saying you have to ignore the future, but you can't ignore the fact that you're within striking distance of a playoff spot. That's why you compete. That's why you spend money on a roster to begin with. That's why that's why fans are fans of teams. Like, you want to see your teams compete and be in the playoff conversation. And the Reds are that. They're that. There's no perfect solution for the Reds. That's the unfortunate part. That's why there'll always be a divide amongst the fan base nonetheless. It's 3:34 here in the Miami Valley. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. All right, there was a big trade over the weekend that really has just set baseball fans and baseball media, the baseball world ablaze right now. Tarek Skubal, again, the ace for the Tigers, traded to none other than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Look, I've made every time the Reds get any good quality player, I'm like, oh, he's going to look good in Dodger blue here in the next 6 years. We said it about Hunter Green. We said it about Deli De La Cruz, and there's a good chance that ends up being the case, at least with the way baseball is set up right now. But the Dodgers, right? They are killing baseball. They are ruining baseball. It's what everyone keeps saying. And yet here I am in my Reds shirt, my Reds hat. I went to the Reds game yesterday. I was going crazy every time they scored a run, hit a home run. They whooped that ass yesterday over the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I enjoyed all of it. But I'm here to tell you, as much as I love my Cincinnati Reds, this idea that the Dodgers are killing baseball, I'm here to tell you, the Reds did something over the weekend that to me is proof that teams like the Reds are killing baseball, not the Dodgers. And that's what I want to talk about. I'm not a Dodgers fan, but I have no problem with what they did, have done, and will keep doing until other teams decide that they want to compete and win too. We literally have Reds fans screaming and arguing that the Reds should quit on the season and trade everyone away, while we get mad at the Dodgers for adding an ace at the deadline to help put them in position to continue to compete and win and go for their third straight World Series. Maybe when you're a fan of a bad team like the Reds, you shouldn't get mad at a team like the Dodgers for trying to compete and win. Seems like a weird hill to die on. We'll discuss when we come back. Teams like the Reds or teams like the Dodgers, who's killing baseball more? We'll discuss when we come back.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring and has increased the hourly wage of $22.48. That's right. KTH is looking for elite production associates, including press operators, overhead crane operators, and forklift operators. Apply today. KTH offers excellent benefits, including medical, dental, and 401k. KTH is a short drive from Bellefontaine, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. Upgrade your career and be valued by a company that really cares about you. Apply now at kth.net, an equal opportunity employer.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Still using the I got a guy approach for your digital marketing? Relying on one person in today's rapidly shifting online landscape is costing you more in lost opportunities. You need the deep bench expertise of Conrex Digital. We provide more than just a presence. We deliver results. From high converting websites and SEO to engaging social content and lead generation on Google and Meta, we handle it all. Dominate your competition with expert programmatic and streaming TV campaigns. Bold marketing, real results. Visit conrexdigital.com. Conrex Digital makes it happen.
1410 Wing AM, Dayton's ESPN Radio, powered by...
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now, online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Helping a new driver get ready for their road test? Here's a convenient new way to make the most of your 50 hours of required practice driving time. The Road Ready Ohio app. Available now at no cost to new drivers and their families. Road Ready Ohio keeps track of your driving experience together, providing feedback and safe driving tips. It even generates the documentation you need for the Ohio BMV. The Road Ready Ohio app. Free to download in the Apple and Google App Stores.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. No takers? Yeah, didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are. But here's the good news. QC Kinetic patients here in Dayton are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. The QC Kinetic medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body, concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon instead of giving up running. Patrick's golf game is on fire again. Kathy walked around Disney with her grandkids. No pain. All real QC Kinetic patients. The sooner you start treatment, the sooner inflammation eases and the sooner joint damage slows down. Because no one signs up for feeling older faster. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetic regenerative treatments. Your visit and consultation is free. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends. Celebrating 75 years serving Greater Dayton. Now is the time to join your friends and register for a fun fall league. Adult, youth, or mixed. Take your pick. Polking Bowling Centers has a fun program just for you. Visit polkingbowling.com or Facebook for the list of fall programs. Let the good times roll at Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, and Polking Lanes South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive.
Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com.
Hi, this is Michael, your service manager at Dave Arbogast Buick GMC in Troy, Ohio. I am inviting you to give us an opportunity to earn your business. We have expanded our hours to better meet your needs. We are now open until 6 p.m. during the week and 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. on Saturdays. We service all makes and models. We offer convenient shuttle service as well as pickup and delivery. Please visit us on the web at arbogastbuickgmc.com or in person. Exit 69 on I-75. Look for the giant American flag. I hope to see you soon.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enon. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
What defines Ohio? A place that dares to go first and never looks back. There's no slowing us down. At Jobs Ohio, our mission is clear. Strengthen job opportunities and empower Ohio's workforce. Another reason why Ohio is now ranked the #1 state for business by CNBC. This is what unstoppable feels like. We did it together, Ohio. Our time is now. See Ohio's momentum at jobsohio.com/Ohio's time.
Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
937-518-1410, 937-518-1410. That's the number that you can call or text. We're live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can watch the show and interact there as well, however you feel like. Again, 937-518-1410. MLB trade deadline coming up just 2 hours from now. And we all just sit back and wait to see if the Reds are going to do something. It sounds like the Reds are they are in talks with teams. We're sitting here saying that the Reds are doing nothing and this, that, and the other. They haven't done anything up to this point. And I think Reds fans are getting very anxious because you see that the Brewers have made moves in recent weeks. You see the Cubs making moves and the Brewers, the Pirates are making moves as they go get Luke Weaver, of course. So everyone's making moves that believes that they're in a playoff conversation. But the Reds, in my opinion, are looking at themselves saying, I don't know if we're in a position to go make moves to bring somebody here, but the best chance we can give ourselves to make the playoffs this year is by not making a move and not moving on from somebody. Look, it sounds like they're not going to move on from Brady Singer. There's multiple layers to that. For one, I think that they like Brady Singer, and I think that they envision him being a part of the rotation moving forward, despite the fact that I think they've done a good job really drafting and developing their rotation. They have a chance for a full homegrown rotation with Hunter Green, Chase Burns, Nick Lodolo, Rhett Lauder, Andrew Abbott, guys like that. But they're willing, according to reports, to potentially extend a qualifying offer at the tail end of the season. So it sounds like there's a good chance they couldn't do that. There's also something to keep in mind as well that could blow up in my face as I talk about this team standing pat to try to keep this competitive roster intact. But there is the cloud that's hovering over the team as far as what, got a chance to see Chase Burns pitch yesterday at Great American Ballpark. And, man, I'm like, man, he hasn't been around for about a year. Already signing a big-time extension. I think he had his 200th, 201st, second, and third strikeout yesterday. I mean, he is skyrocketing up record books and just he's, killing it right now, right? But the cloud that's hovering over the Reds and everything right now that's not really being focused on or talked about because everyone's focused on the trade deadline is the fact that he came into the season with an innings count. We don't really know what that is, but we do know that this guy has already pitched more up to this point in early August than he did all of last season combined and the year before that. So he's already pitched more up to this point of the season than he has in any previous season since joining the Reds. And everyone's anticipating that the Reds are going to shut him down at some point. So if the Reds do truly intend to shut him down, Brady Singer, it also makes a lot of sense to not trade him at this deadline if they have to shut him down. I mean, when you think about the options that the Reds have as far as people that they could bring up, I mean, who down with Louisville right now do you look at and say, oh, the Reds will be fine if they call him up? It has been a complete disaster as far as any arms at the Louisville level that they have called anyone up at this point this season. No one seems ready to go, banged up, all that fun stuff. So I don't know. I think that there's multiple layers to the justification for potentially not moving on from Brady Singer. Good chance that Tyler Stevenson, who has been linked to teams like the White Sox and the Yankees, who are two teams in dire need of a catcher. It does seem like there is some momentum there. So while everyone's freaked out that the Reds haven't done anything, and I've talked about the fact that, I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't make any moves, because I also truly think, and Tyler Stevenson might have played his way into maybe getting the Reds a decent return, and you could say the same thing about Brady Singer. But unless anything that you get back for Brady Singer can bring you the same value of the production of a Brady Singer, I'm fine with them not making a move. Tyler Stevenson might be the same thing. However, if you move on from Tyler Stevenson to go get some not high, they're not going to be great prospects, a mid-tier prospect. Like, all you've done now is you've just created an even bigger hole at your catcher position, and now you've added another position that you have to worry about moving forward. That's just the problem with where the Reds are at right now. There's not a one-size-fits-all solution to appease everything. There just isn't. Well, move on from these guys to get prospects for the future. Well, now you've quit on this season, and you don't know if those prospects will actually help you in future seasons. The one thing that you do know right now is you're within 5.5 games of a playoff spot. You're playing really good baseball. You've won 4 of the first 5 series that you've played coming out of the All-Star break, and you just took 3 or 4 from the Pirates and 2 or 3 from the Cardinals, 2 division teams who owned your ass in the first half. So this team is vibing different. They are playing different. So who knows what's going to happen. But yes, multiple teams still in the mix on Tyler Stevenson. We're mad that they haven't made a move yet up to this point. Good chance that moves are still coming. How many moves? What they get back in return, who knows? But as of 2 p.m. earlier today, the Reds have yet to make a trade. Hell, as of 3:45 right now, they've yet to make a trade. But a report surfaced earlier today that mentioned that the Reds could be leaning towards keeping Brady Singer and offering him a qualifying deal. We've talked about that. But MLB.com's Mark Feisen has expressed that multiple teams are showing heavy interest in Tyler Stevenson. He says that the White Sox are still looking for help behind the plate and hope to add a catcher in the next couple of hours. Tyler Stevenson is on their radar amongst others, though the Reds have had interest in Stevenson from other clubs too. So the White Sox have been linked to that. So that's something to keep in mind. He also mentioned that the Yankees are a team that could be interested in trading for Stevenson as well. The Yankees have been tied to Stevenson. Probably if you go into the All-Star break, the Yankees were kind of tied, keep an eye on the Yankees, who needs a catcher, and Stevenson, if he continues, playing well, that would make sense. Stevenson's been playing great. Played great yesterday. I mean, he had the throw out defensively, of course, hitting the hell out of the ball, multiple hits, the home run, and what could have been his final at bat as a Cincinnati Red. But again, Mark Feisen with MLB.com says, with the Rays acquiring Liam Hicks and the Red Sox seemingly on the verge, again, this is a quote from earlier today. They did get Adley earlier today, by the way. The Yankees need to make some kind of move as well, and they may turn to the Reds for catching help in Tyler Stevenson. So we'll see what ultimately happens. But since June 1st, Tyler Stevenson with 13 extra base hits, 4 home runs. That is among the best in baseball right now in that stretch. And there are also not many good offensive catchers available right now, which makes Stevenson even more valuable if the Yankees are willing to give up anything of substance to get him. So just something to keep an eye on nonetheless. Ryan Strong says 2 hours, 15 minutes left. Yawn. Ryan, are you suggesting that people are freaking out for no reason right now? What's the the premise of your take with that? I am a little curious, but something that happened over the weekend, and again, we'll continue following the Reds and the trade deadline and everything that's happening right now. But something happened over the weekend that I think all Reds fans need to pay close attention to, because I think that the situation that the Tigers are in, we're in, is the same situation that the Reds are going to find themselves in with Hunter Green moving forward. A dominant arm that all fans love, but at the same time don't want to fall too much in love because he's not going to be here much longer. And that's what ultimately happened. But the ending to the story was very predictable. He ended up with the Dodgers. Tarek Skubal again. That was the big news over the weekend for a handful of prospects, and you can argue whether they got enough or not, and that seems to be the big argument. But the number one narrative coming out of the weekend is that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. And if there was, if you were doubting that there would be a lockout next season, that the Dodgers getting Skubal at this deadline almost guarantees a lockout next season. I agree that that's probably what's going to lead to the lockout next season, but I do have a hard time with the narrative that the Dodgers are the boogeyman in this situation, that the Dodgers are the problem. Again, I shared and ranted on this last week, but I have a hard time looking at a team like the Dodgers, who all they do is win. All they do is make moves to make sure that they win. They spend money. They win World Series. If there's a need that they have, they go and address it. If there's a player that they want, they go and get them. They don't look at them and say, "Hey, you're asking for $5 million more than what we're comfortable spending, so we're just going to let you go so you can go help someone else." No, they get them. The Reds didn't get Kyle Schwarber because they were scared to pay an additional $5 million a year over the next 4 or 5, and that's why they lost him. People say, they lost him over 20. No, they lost him over 5. They weren't willing to spend $5 more million a year to get Kyle Schwarber. Our team doesn't spend money, but we're mad at the team that does. You're mad at the wrong team. All right. The Dodgers are killing baseball. No, they are not. No, they are not. In fact, the Dodgers are what makes baseball even relative at this point. People are talking about baseball right now because of the Dodgers. People are going to watch baseball right now because of the Dodgers. While you guys tune out on your team for the final 2 months because all you guys seem to be obsessed with is prospects. Baseball fans will continue watching the Dodgers because all the Dodgers care about is winning, winning, and winning. The Dodgers aren't killing baseball. I think teams like the Reds are. The fact that over the weekend, as we approach this trade deadline, the fact that there were reports that the Cincinnati Reds and the Boston Red Sox had trade discussions for Elly De La Cruz, the fact that as a Reds fan, I can't even thoroughly enjoy watching Elly De La Cruz without constantly thinking about when are they going to pull the plug and him end up elsewhere, because it's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's not good for baseball. It's not good that as a fan of a team that anytime they get any good player, I can't even enjoy it because we know how the storybook's going to end, and it's going to end in disaster. There's never a storybook ending for us Reds fans anytime that the team accidentally comes across something special. Right? Like, I mean, to sit here and say that the Dodgers are the problem when we have a team in the Reds that has an Elly De La Cruz, and instead of spending every minute of their day trying to find a way to keep them, they're spending minutes of the day listening to offers. There's think about it like this, and for those out there who are silly enough to say, well, they should at least listen to options. You're part of the problem. You're what's allowing the Reds and other teams to get away with this nonsense. You're part of the problem. What if I was to tell you that the Bengals were fielding trade offers for Joe Burrow? Would you be silly and embarrassing enough to say, well, Joe Burrow's a great quarterback, and I think that, the Bengals should be listening to all offers. They should just know what offers. No, you would say, that's stupid. It's impossible to find QBs like Joe Burrow. You have something special. Why on earth would you try to not do everything in your power to keep him, right? Because that's what people with common sense, that's how you think. But the fact that you guys are sitting there in defending the Reds, even entertaining trade talks for Elly De La Cruz, which, by the way, I guess you could say that they should because there's no chance in them keeping him. But that's my point. If this was any that's my point. The Reds get something special, and they spend the entire time not trying to win with said talent, but trying to find the best offer by listening to every offer for the next 1, 2, 3 years. I'm sorry, but teams like the Reds they're bad for baseball. Teams like the Tigers are bad for baseball. The Tigers get a special talent in Tariq Skubal, and they gave him to the Dodgers. And you're mad at the Dodgers? You guys are talking about the Dodgers as if they're going around and just rating these farm systems and rating these rosters and rating the talent across the league. How are they getting this talent? Oh, yeah. You're giving it to them. How am I supposed to feel bad for the Tigers when you sent him there? Oh, this is horrible for baseball. Look what the Dodgers did. Look what the Tigers did. They're the ones that gave him to him. Oh, when the Dodgers end up with Hunter Green, oh man, this is just so unfair. I can't believe that the Dodgers got Hunter Green. I hate the Dodgers. How about you hate the Reds for sending Hunter Green to the Dodgers? If Elly De La Cruz ends up with the Boston Reds, oh man, it's always the big market teams. I mean, this is what's wrong with baseball. I hate the Red Sox. I don't hate the Red Sox. I hate the Reds. They sent him there. Stop it with the nonsense of blaming the Dodgers, because when we had Sam LaCure on the show last month, him and I discussed this. We talked about the fact that, hey, the reason we know that you guys don't actually believe what you're saying is because if the Reds were the Dodgers, you would have no problem with it. If the Reds were collecting superstars like Pokemon cards, you would have no problem with it. The only reason you have a problem with it is because your team won't do it. Your team won't do it. That's why you have a problem with it. The Reds are bad for baseball. The Dodgers, I mean, they're interesting. You guys are literally cheering for the Reds to blow up a handful of good players on this roster, to get rid of them, to get prospects for the future so that we can tune out for the next 2 months, while the Dodgers are at least making sure that everyone is talking about baseball, feeling baseball, tuning into baseball. Don't tell me that the Dodgers are bad for baseball. And don't tell me that the Reds are victims when they shoot themselves in the foot. You can't create your own problems and then cry victim. You just can't. And that's what the Reds do. That's what the Tigers did. It's what the Reds are going to do. It's what the Pirates are going to do with Paul Skeens coming up. It's just what we all do. But I have a hard time supporting franchises like the Reds who don't spend money, who want to tell the Dodgers how to spend theirs or not to spend theirs. We look at the Dodgers and we would love if our team operated that way, but because our team doesn't operate that way, we want to tell them that they shouldn't operate that way. We're pointing the fingers at the wrong team here. We should be pointing the middle finger at our team for being too cheap to go get a Kyle Schwarber, but then getting mad at the Dodgers because they go get a Tariq Skubal to try to go and win their 3rd straight World Series. Good for the Dodgers. Good for the Dodgers. I love the fact that there is a team in baseball that actually gives a damn about winning, that gives a damn about competing. And boo the Reds. And I love the Reds. I love the Cincinnati Reds, but I hate the Reds in this situation. The Castellinis, the Reds, you're what's wrong with baseball. The fact that you have all of these Reds fans ready to quit on the final 2 months of the season, you're why baseball is as bad as it is. And I don't think baseball is horrendous right now, but it's horrendous in Cincinnati when you guys would rather lose than win. Dodgers aren't the problem. The Reds, the Tigers, the Pirates, oh my, they're all the problem. We'll be right back. Hour 2 coming up. We have our Buckeye Report coming up at the top of the hour, as well as college football. I think I saw we're 33 days away from Buckeyes football, but we're 5 minutes away from our first Buckeye Camp Report with Paul Keels as we kick off hour number 2 when we come back.
A is for ABS, B is for BCM, C is for CBT, D is for, don't worry, we're not going to quiz you, because at Carroll Wirtz Tire, we know the auto industry is full of acronyms. But here's the one that matters the most: tire. Trust, integrity, reliability, expertise. Carroll Wirtz Tire, keeping Dayton rolling from A to Z. Find us online at c-wtire.com or talk to a real human at 937-461-5441.
We got a sauce snob to review Lee's new famous and Fiesta wraps. He was pretty skeptical, saying things like, gee, more chicken wraps? Lucky me. Then he tasted the Fiesta wrap and started talking about how it was
a subtly spicy journey filled with chicken, chipotle ranch, Texas Pete dust, and more, whose destination is pure culinary elation.
Shame he was too embarrassed to tell you about it himself. The new Fiesta wrap and famous wrap, only at Lee's. Famous for a reason.
I love days like these at the pool, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. I'm ready to make a splash with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza. Skyrizi is a prescription-only injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. At 4 months, most people saw 90% clearer skin when measured from head to toe, and many were even 100% plaque-free. People also saw significant improvement in psoriasis symptoms of pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Now there's nothing on my skin thanks to Skyrizi, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
Ohio State football. Training camp report.
And this report is brought to you by Safe Light Auto Glass and by Bob's Discount Furniture. After winning a national championship 2 seasons ago, the year ended last year in a disappointing mode for Ohio State and head coach Ryan Day, who talked about the lessons that his team and his coaching staff tried to learn from going into 2026.
Well, you take a lot of things. Every year you look at the things that have gone well, and then you look at the things that came up short. And I think when you're chasing small margins like we are, you have to identify the things that need to get fixed and fix them. The easy thing to do is do nothing or overreact. Where the real work is really identifying what needs to get fixed and then make that change. And so I won't get into all those things, but yeah, there's a lot of things that needed to get addressed and will continue to get addressed. And sometimes you don't know if those decisions were right until you get all the way to the end of the season.
We'll have more after this.
Bob's Discount Furniture has the furniture you've waited 250 years for. We've got power reclining sofas as low as $7.99, 5-piece dining sets as low as $3.99, Bobo-Pedic mattresses for as low as $2.99, and of course, feature-packed bestsellers like my Playday sectional with pop-up sleeper sofa. So stop in or shop mybobs.com to see where America shops for furniture. Oh, my Bob! Bob's Discount Furniture, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safe Light Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelight.com. Safe Light Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
As is usually the case to start a football season, all coaches come up with certain sayings, phrases, mantras, whatever, to get ready for a coming campaign. Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes, no different in how they're voicing their approach for 2026.
We use the term VUCA, V-U-C-A, which is a military term, which means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And so, in order to attack those times, you have to make decisions quickly. You have to be decisive. You have to then identify what's gone right, what's gone wrong, and then continue to adapt over time and not just do what's easy and throw up your hands and get frustrated. And so I think we've done that. I'm excited about where this season's going. And now we're getting back to what matters the most, and that's football. And so as much change that's gone on across the offseason, we're back to what matters the most, and that's playing the game.
And the Buckeyes will begin practice this week, getting ready for the season opener, Labor Day weekend against Ball State. We'll have another report tomorrow. This is Paul Keels on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? Safe Step walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-731-4558 and save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. Safe Step walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as one day. Just dial 1-800-731-4558 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-731-4558 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Saving money on everything for your next project. Now at Menards. Menards has a huge selection of bagged concrete and mortar mixes. Whether you're pouring a walkway, concrete slab, or setting a post, we have the right product at the best price to complete your project. Shop our entire selection of concrete mixes and supplies in store and on Menards.com. Plus, check out the weekly flyer for more great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just one dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
You want hot takes? No, I'm not going to apologize to Ryan Day. Everything we said about Ryan Day up until the playoffs was true. Not bad. Come on, Kenner. You can do better than that. To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished. Getting better. 1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them. There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2 was officially kicked off with Paul Keels and the Buckeye Camp Report. Every day at 4 o'clock from now through the kickoff to the college football season, we'll have a camp report with Paul Keels. And then Paul will be a regular guest on the show starting week 1 all throughout the college football season. Paul's been a regular on the show for the last, 3 football seasons, and we're going to continue that. Looking forward to that. Nonetheless. But 33 days away from kickoff to the college football season with your Ohio State Buckeyes. Of course, we're also just a few weeks away from kicking off high school football as well. We'll be, for the 10th straight season, kicking off our ESPN Dayton High School Football Game of the Week with the Battle of Kettering. How about August 20th? I mean, it's already, the 3rd today? I mean, we're just a hair over 2 weeks away from the kickoff to the high school football season. But our ESPN Dayton Game of the Week broadcast schedule is up, and we'll be bringing you all 10 weeks of the regular season, some of the biggest matchups. We'll kick off the season with Fairmont and Altar, the Battle of Kettering on the 20th. St. Xavier is going to be at Wayne in week 2, and then St. Edwards will be at Wayne in week 3. So we'll be setting up shop in Huber in weeks 2 and 3. We've got Springfield and Centerville. That's always a fun matchup every year. And then, we're going to see Wayne and Centerville to close it out in week 10. I mean, so many fun matchups. Schedule at times could be altered throughout the year, especially in the final couple weeks as, playoff implications and all that stuff, kind of start to play a role. But we are excited to roll out another season of high school football right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The 20th, the Battle of Kettering, that's the only Thursday game that we'll have. Every game after that will be on Friday night moving forward. We are, let's see, it's 4:07. We are just under 2 hours away from the trade deadline, and still I keep refreshing the old X machine. Nothing cooking right now for your Cincinnati Reds. In fact, the biggest Reds headline today is not who the Reds are going to trade, but who the Reds are going to keep. The Reds keeping Brady Singer was not on my bingo card for being controversial. I'm surprised that as many people out there are pissed off about that. Brady Singer went from one of those solid starting pitchers that I'm like, okay, I could see the Reds moving on from him to get something in return. But Brady Singer has turned into a pretty damn good pitcher for the Reds. And I think that even if Nick Lodolo was not having, issues with getting a blister consistently, if Hunter Green wasn't such a concern health-wise, even if there wasn't the innings count cloud that is hovering over the Reds right now with Chase Burns, I would still be in favor of keeping him. It is tough to find good quality starting pitching out there, and you have it on your roster for the time being. If the Reds move on from him, I'm for it, but I'm also never going to be upset that the Reds want to keep a talented pitcher in the rotation. I mean, look, the whole reason that Rhett Lauder was moved to the bullpen for a couple of weeks is because we thought that we had depth in this rotation, and we don't. The second that Rhett Lauder got moved to the bullpen for like a week, 2 week stretch, Nick Lodolo gets another blister and has been out ever since. And then they had to move Rhett Lauder back into the rotation, which is great that you even have that you're in that position to do that. But now you don't have depth. And I think right now the thinking is the Reds love Hunter Green. I don't think they trust Hunter Green. And I think there's a couple different views of that. I think they love Hunter Green. They don't trust that Hunter Green can stay healthy because, well, history tells us he can't. He has never made it an entire season with the Reds organization from the minor leagues to the main roster. He has never made it an entire season without spending at least 1 month on the IL. They love him. They can't trust him. They also love Hunter Green, but I don't think they trust Hunter Green, but I also don't think that they know what the future of Hunter Green on this team looks like and how much longer. There will not be another extension with Hunter Green. It's just a matter of whether they feel like they could bolster this roster with moving on from Hunter Green or not. That's kind of where we're at this point. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on. So I think Brady Singer accomplishes a lot. I don't think it's as drastic. I think that because the Reds have not made any other moves, it has made the decision or the potential reported decision of the Reds to not move on from Brady Singer. I think it's made it a bigger deal than what it should be. The Tyler Stevenson thing is something to keep an eye on. I know we talked about that in the first hour, that the Yankees and White Sox make a lot of sense. So we'll see if the Reds pull the trigger there. It seemed like, I think Tyler Stevenson even expects to be moved. You saw how moved he was in the post game yesterday. I don't know anything about Tyler Stevenson's family or not, but where we were seated yesterday, there was about, I don't want to say an entire row, but a couple rows in front of us, it was a large group of people all wearing Tyler Stevenson jerseys. And every time his name was mentioned or at bat, everyone went crazy because he had a good game, but they were very emotional. They were it almost felt like everyone was there and anticipating that was Tyler Stevenson's final game as a Red. His very first at bat ever as a Red was a home run. And, his last at bat ever as a Red could have potentially been a home run. So we'll see if he's still a Red coming up here in the next hour and 49 minutes. Something we'll be keeping an eye on. Again, I just keep hitting refresh on this to see if anything's coming out. Our guys at Chatterbox Sports do a great job, of course, keeping everyone updated. Shout out to Trey and all those guys. I appreciate them. Nonetheless. But I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio, 937-518-1410. That's the number that you could text or call to jump in on the conversation. One thing in the first half of the show that I talked about as well is the fact that, the Reds, they haven't done anything, which is interesting because I think that doing nothing is doing something. I think that's what I think that the Reds are telling you, hey, we don't want to move on from a Brock Burke or Caleb Ferguson. We like our bullpen right now. We're within 5.5 games of a playoff spot. We feel good about where we're at. We don't want to move on, obviously from some of our starting Brady Singer. We don't want to move on from Brady Singer. we're within 5.5 games of a playoff spot, and we kind of like the way we're playing. I think that's saying something. I think, Nathaniel Lowe could still be moved. Don't get me wrong. JJ Bleday, I don't think will be moved, but he could be moved. Suarez, anyone could be moved. But this idea that the Reds haven't done anything, I disagree. I think that the Reds not moving on from anyone is still something, because what they're telling you is we kind of like our bullpen. We like Brady Singer. We're going to need Brady Singer. Nathaniel Lowe and JJ Bleday, for a team that can't hit the ball consistently and has struggled to get run support, those are two guys that have actually been pretty consistent with helping in that category. Why would you take a team that can't produce in those situations and take two of the few guys that can and send them away? So I think that the Reds doing nothing is technically something. I think the Reds are telling you, we don't think that this team is as bad as what everyone's trying to make them out to be. I think the Reds feel like they have a shot. And I think that they're doing their homework. I think that they're listening to offers for some of these guys, and they may pull the trigger on 1, 2, or maybe surprise us and just go on a frenzy here in the next hour and a half. But I do think that, everyone out there that's saying the Reds are doing nothing, no, to me, nothing is something, because that something is, we believe we still have a shot. Well, because mathematically you do. I think someone earlier in the show said they have a 3% chance of making the playoffs. I get that you could find websites that tell you that, this, that, and the other, but I've hammered this point home a lot. 5.5 games back. Okay. This team in the first half couldn't beat anyone in the division. They couldn't beat bad teams. All right. But this team is beating playoff contenders. They're beating bad teams. They've won 4 of the first 5 series coming out of the All-Star break. And then that daunting division of theirs, that they were the only team in baseball to have a single-digit win total against their division in the first half of the season. They've come out swinging. They took 2 or 3 from St. Louis in St. Louis. They just took 3 or 4 from the Pirates in Cincinnati. I mean, they're doing everything that they should be doing coming out of the All-Star break. And what they've done is they've made the jobs of the Reds front office very difficult. I'm not saying that the Reds were hoping that they would lose, but I think that they were hoping that the Reds would come out and give them a definitive vision of what they should do. And I don't think the Reds have that. I think they're confused. I think the Reds are operating as a confused franchise. But again, I think that the nothing is still something. I think that the nothing is something. The nothing is proof to me that this front office believes that this team could still compete. And everyone out there that wants to go prospect diving, I can't support that. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be reckless and never think about the future, but at some point, I'm so sick of hearing about the future. When is the future now? Because a couple of years ago, you couldn't make a move at the deadline because of the future with 2 to 3 years down the road in mind. Well, here we are 2 or 3 years later. You did all that or didn't do any of that to set yourself up to hopefully be a playoff contending team, which they are. And now you want to do nothing again. Can't get on board with that. There is the argument about, okay, don't get prospects but to go get MLB ready talent right now. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot. I mean, I'm with you. I just don't think that makes sense, because you trade Tyler Stevenson to go get an outfielder. You're not going to go get a great outfielder, but you might add a capable bat in the outfield, but you gave up a capable bat behind home plate, and now you have a catching issue. You created a catching issue to go solve an outfield issue. You're just rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. I mean, it's sinking, and you're just trying to move that chair over there. They're all going to me. The only way that the Reds can go add something at the deadline to truly help them is to move on from some prospects. And I don't think they're going to do that. The Reds don't show any interest in moving on from top prospects. That I disagree with, but I know that that's how they operate. That's just where we're at right now. So knowing how they operate, I think that's where we're at with this. I don't expect a big splash move between now and the deadline. And I don't think moving on from Brock Burke or whoever, I don't think that's a splash move. I'm saying a splash move is in being an arm that's added to all of this at the end of the day. But 937-518-1410, you can text or call, and we'll jump back in on this. I also want to hear from you guys regarding the Dodgers. I mean, so many of you the Dodgers are killing baseball. I just disagree. I think the Dodgers are doing what you wish your team would do. Spend money, make competitive decisions, try. How many of you feel like how many of you felt like the Reds tried in the offseason? How many of you felt like the Reds tried in the first half? How many of you feel like the Reds are trying right now at this trade deadline? Not a whole lot. but you're mad at the one team in baseball that does everything in their power to try and to win. That's a weird one. I think you guys are being weird with that. Getting mad at the Dodgers for trying, getting mad at the Dodgers for having a need and addressing that need. Isn't that what we're mad at our team right now for having needs, not addressing them, but we're mad at the Dodgers because they do it? That's called jealousy, folks. The Dodgers aren't killing baseball. The Reds are. The Pirates are. The Tigers are. The Rockies. The teams that don't invest into their product. That's what's killing baseball. You're mad at the Dodgers for getting skewball instead of being mad at the Tigers for giving them skewball. The Tigers are the problem. The Tigers should be the villain coming out of the weekend, not the other way around. We'll be right back.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast is clear and 58 tonight, sunny and 86 tomorrow, mostly sunny 88 on Wednesday. Rick Schramp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, I'm Josie. My daughter turns 5 today. Blow out the candles. I'm also an Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper. When you move over and slow down, you're not only giving me room to work, you're making sure I can get home to celebrate with my daughter.
Roadside workers have lives and families, but when they're on the job, they put it all on the line to protect and serve us. Let's all give them room to work. When you see flashing lights, remember, they're not just roadside workers. Thank you for moving over and slowing down.
Cordell Transportation is looking for more weekend warriors. If you have a Class A CDL and would like to make some extra money casually driving weekend daytime routes, then Cordell Transportation is looking for you. Home daily, all loads round trip, no touch freight, and competitive pay. Full-time routes could become available if you're interested. Drive weekends at Cordell Transportation. Apply at CordellTransportation.com or call Ron at 937-277-7271. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You push yourself in everything you do, scanning headlines for insights, keeping an eye on the market. Robinhood puts you in control of your money, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has never been an overnight sensation. But because of you, we've been an every night sensation for the last 6 decades. That's literal tons of famous chicken served. But we're not here to boast about quantity. We're here to tell you our legacy of quality hasn't changed and never will. So celebrate 60 years with the 1966 box featuring 10 pieces of famous chicken, because we make the chicken, but you made us famous. Only at Lee's, famous for a reason.
QC Kinetics helps active people stay active. People like David Boardman, police officer, competitive athlete, and gym owner who trains hard almost every day.
My body's taken a lot of abuse over the years. I've had multiple knee surgeries on both of my knees. I could barely run a mile prior to going to QC Kinetics. Doctors have all told me, hey, you are going to need knee replacements.
But QC Kinetics gave David great news.
We're going to give you the opportunity to have not 1, but 2 healthy knees, and we don't have to cut you open.
And after David's regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics,
since I've gone to them. I run 20, 30 miles a week. I really wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for QC Kinetics.
From knee pain to Ironman training,
it's a no-brainer.
Now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics to book your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Oh, my house needs some help. It needs a new roof, new windows, and siding if I can afford it. I just don't know who to call. Your house is updated and looks so nice. Who does your work?
Buckeye Home Services does all my work. Their prices are affordable and they do a great job. Call 586-6600 for a free estimate. Buckeye does roofing, siding, gutters, leaf guards, windows, doors, patio covers, even kitchens and baths.
Sounds like they're the ones to call. What's that number again?
Buckeye Home Services, 586-6600.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Bakery owners, you will be loved today. Every pastry will be flaky. Your cake will make a child's day. Your delivery van won't get sideswiped by a distracted garbage truck driver. But if so, breathe easy, knowing you'll get back to business quickly with Progressive protecting your commercial auto. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
It is 4:24, an hour and a half remaining until the trade deadline. An hour and a half, and the Reds have yet to make a move, and people are losing their minds. Bryce Spalding, I love his Reds content on Twitter. But, man, he's just been ripping the Reds all day. I mean, and some of it I disagree with. Majority of it I disagree with. Look, I'll never argue that the Reds are a well-run organization. I just don't think that everything they do is as poor as what everyone makes it out to, to be. If the Reds are standing pat because they want to continue fighting to make the playoffs, I don't know how they're bad for that, but I don't know. I seem to be on an island right now. But Bryce Spalding says the Angels are lapping the Reds this deadline. It certainly wasn't on my bingo card. Bryce is a very smart individual. So saying something as silly as that is very interesting to me. Putting the Reds in the Angels category is so stupid that I have no clue. I feel like I should just sign off for the day. If this is where people's mindset is, I clearly can't relate to anyone here. I can't get through to anyone here. So I don't even understand the purpose of me continuing to conversate in this. Angels lapping the Reds this deadline certainly wasn't on my bingo card. The Angels are the worst team in the American League. The worst team in the American League. They are the worst team in baseball. The Angels are 43-69. Are 22, almost 23 games back of a playoff spot, and are the worst run organization in all of sports. And you are sitting there comparing the Reds to them? I mean, come on. I've had some bad takes throughout my 10-plus year media career, and I'm going to have many, many more, hopefully for many, many more years. But I promise you, I will never say something as silly as that. Are you kidding me? The Angels lapping the Angels, who have nowhere to go but up, are lapping the Reds, who are trying to balance what the right moves are to get some prospects for the future while also remaining enough intact to continue to stay in the playoff conversation. I can't. I mean, what are we doing? I get that, and look, not a lot of people agree with me on this. I don't care. I don't care. But trying to villainize the Reds for trying to stay in the hunt in the playoffs because you're mad because they don't try to get prospects for the future, I don't care. I don't care. Let's go to Shaw. Shaw, thanks for holding, man. You're on live.
What's up, man?
Another day in paradise. What's up?
You're in my position. Sounds like I'm typically the one that is getting stuff thrown at them because I don't know what I'm talking about. It's kind of weird hearing you on that side of it with everybody else.
Nah, but I do know what I'm talking about here.
I mean, you do and you don't.
No, I do.
You
making
do
playoffs good, missing playoffs bad. It's simple. Competing for the playoffs good, quitting with 2 months to go bad. I do.
Just because somebody looks at it differently than you doesn't mean.
No, I think that any
you're
fan
right.
that thinks quitting on a season with 2 months to go is pretty silly. I don't think this is a two sides thing. I think quitting with 2 months to go is silly.
I'm indifferent on the entire topic. I just am, because I'm like you. I know the Reds aren't going to do anything. That's not what I think the Reds should do. I don't care. Buy, sell, do something. They should do something. This roster is not good enough to do nothing. It's just not. And your 5.5 games may as well be 15.5 to some people, because I know you disparage and you don't agree with the fact that there's 6 teams ahead of them, but there's 6 teams ahead of them,
and they play them all. And they play them all.
I get that, and they've lost to all of them already.
Yeah,
so,
and they've also beat some of those teams too, and they've been a much different team coming out of the All-Star break.
And they're still 6-4.
They've won all but one series coming out of the All-Star break.
And they're 6-4 coming out of the All-Star break.
So they should quit. They should quit in the season.
I didn't say they should quit. This is the beauty. This is the beauty part of being the fan or a radio host. We're not paid to do the job. That's what Crawl's paid for. And I don't trust Crawl to be able to do the job, to get the job done that this roster needs.
But what is the job? I am kind of curious, though. We keep saying that. What's the job? What's the expectation then? To make the playoffs, right?
The job is to build a roster that is actually competitive and not be 5.5
They are competitive.
games.
5.5 is not competitive. No, I'm not going to stop. You think 5.5 is not competitive?
It's barely competitive.
It's competitive. You're within 5.5 games of a playoff spot with 2 months to go.
They are 1 series away from being 7.5 to 8 out.
And they're 1 series away from being 3.5 out. What the hell's your point?
They're not sweeping anybody.
Who the hell said they were going to sweep anybody?
Just get 2.5
They haven't swept
games
anyone
out
coming out of the All-Star
somebody.
break, and they've made up 2.5, 3 games. What are you talking about?
Okay, in 1 series, they're not getting down from 5.5 to 2.5 without sweeping somebody. Come on, Kenner, do some math. Are they not 5.5 games out?
I've only said that the whole damn 2 hours of this show, sir.
Okay, so if they're 5.5 out and they're going to go to 2.5, 5 minus 2
You're
is
focusing
3.
on that tiny little detail. Like, I know what you're trying to say, but I'm not sitting here talking about sweeps. I'm just sitting here saying that you're acting like they can't make up games. You're talking about that they could just drop it. They can't make up games. What the hell? What are you talking about?
Okay. You never
all this
know
team
what
has
I'm
done,
talking about.
but win.
But
I don't think you do half the time. All this team has done is win
everybody
since coming out of the All-Star break. That's what we wanted them to do. Show life coming out of the All-Star break. They did that. And it doesn't mean anything. They're not going to hang up a banner for it. They're not going to win a World Series. I just want my team to compete for the playoffs. That's all I care about. Those who want this team to punt and quit with 2 months left, I can't get on board with that. And I won't.
And I'm not saying they need to punt or quit either.
Well, you're also, why? This is a team that's going to get swept for the remaining 2 months, according to you. What are you talking about?
Go back and read the comment that I made not an hour and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and read that. And does that sound like someone who's saying they should punt? No. I'm with you. They shouldn't be getting rid of anything for prospects. They should be getting something for MLB ready players right now.
How do you do that? How do you do that? Let me ask you. How do you do that?
Get rid of your prospects.
But as I've said on this show, that's not what's going to happen because that's not how they operate. So knowing how they operate,
Kroll doesn't know how to do his job.
But his job is to put a team in position to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year. They're within 5.5 of the playoffs this year, playing pretty good baseball. He's not great, but I'm just
swept in the playoffs and making the playoffs. Congratulations.
Can't get swept in the playoffs if you don't make the playoffs.
Congratulations, you made the playoffs. And
I love making the playoffs. This team lost 90 plus. This team almost lost 100 games a few years ago. Yes, I was very happy that they made the playoffs.
And let's go back to that topic that we had on Friday last week.
Let's.
Yes, I said that the World Series. No, I overstepped on that one. It's making it to the NLCS because after that, anything can happen. It's 7-game series, and we've all seen crazy things happen in 7-game series. I agree. So I'll yield to you on that. But can we get off of this whole thing of just making the playoffs? Like there's some low franchise that can't do anything, and they have no money, and the team just has no competitive balance whatsoever. Can we get off of this woe is me? I just need to make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, it's not a woe is me thing. It should be about making the playoffs.
No, it is a woe is me. That's what you
Why
did the
are
whole
you
day
yelling?
on
Why do you? You're a Braves fan. Why are you this angry?
Because you make me this way.
All right.
And you've been yelling for the last hour and a half. So me calling in and yelling,
I'm not yelling.
is no different than
I'm not yelling. I think if you polled the listeners, everyone would agree that you yelling is not the same as me talking.
You weren't talking an hour ago when I was listening to the show. You weren't.
Was I doing this and acting like this? And oh my God, I was not screaming. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 937-518-1410. Damon Hahn says, I 100% know that I am jealous. Damon says he is jealous of the Dodgers. You're just admitting that. Yes, I'm jealous of the Dodgers too. To go back to that conversation, I am jealous of the Dodgers. I want the Reds to do what the Dodgers do. That's why I don't want I just don't think that teams who don't spend should tell the Dodgers that they shouldn't. I don't know. 937-518-1410. Is this Mike?
Yes, it is.
Mike, you're on live. How are you, sir?
Good. All right. Shaw is out of line. I'm sorry. He doesn't make sense to me.
Help me figure it out too. I like Shaw. First of all, I don't want to badmouth Shaw too. I do. He's a very loyal listener. He's very supportive.
I agree.
But he's wrong on this one. He's wrong on this one.
I agree 100%. They're in position, damn if they do, damn if they don't.
Yep.
And they created that position, but there's enough talent here, I think, to make the playoffs.
Yes.
Now, will they be able to succeed in the playoffs if they get there? Probably not. But if the pitching holds up and they get the timely hitting, they got pitching.
Yeah, they have the pitching. Look, I'll say this, and by the way, I'm not a delusional Reds fan. There's not one part of me that's like, I think the Reds could beat the Dodgers. But what you do need to beat the Dodgers, to upset the Dodgers, is you have to have elite arms. And the Reds have 2 elite arms. And because the Reds would be a wild card team, if you run into the Dodgers, it's a shortened series, which also gives you not a slight advantage, but it gives you an opportunity, because with throwing Hunter Green or Chase Burns out there, it gives you an opportunity to jump on them early. It's going to they have the number one things that you need to help neutralize it. Yes, getting to the playoffs is important. I don't know why so many fans are trying to tell me that making the playoffs is not that big of a deal. I think that's absolutely insane.
A big deal.
Yeah, I agree.
It is a big deal. Every team wants to make the playoffs. At least they can hang that hat at the end of the season, even if you don't get far. Okay, we made the playoffs. Now what do we got to do to take the next step?
Yep.
And that's what I don't see the Reds doing. But let's see what happens. I'm not upset that they haven't made any moves. And I've talked to you before, and I'm a proponent of trading Stevenson. But right now, I say no.
I just think because of the circumstance that they're in. And by the way, I do think that the front office, they're coming across looking a little silly. I think they seem confused as can be. I think that there is a conflict right now internally. I think they don't know what they want to do. I think that there's probably one side that wants to just unleash all these expiring contracts and just get a bunch of prospects and reset. But then there's others that are like, Mike, you know this. You know how tough it is to get within 5.5 games, to be within 5.5 games of a playoff spot in August, right, when half the time the joke about the Reds is that the season's done by the end of April. So this is so silly to me that we're acting like it's not a big deal that they're in contention here. When I say we, I know not you, but
they played very well the second half, but actually they're 9-5 since the All-Star break, not 6-4. I just wanted to.
I think he was the last 10 games and all this stuff, but yeah. Look,
last 10 games, yeah, but still, that's a big improvement from what they had been doing before the All-Star break.
And the bar needs to be higher. I know what Shaw's trying to say, that the bar should be higher. I completely get that the bar should be higher, but I'm a fan based on where our team is at right now with the current circumstances. So that's kind of where I'm at. Expecting a World Series, blow it up because, quit for the final 2 months because this isn't a World Series team is just insane for a team that made the playoffs once in a 10-year stretch, and acting like making the playoffs 2 years in a row is not an accomplishment. That would be a hell of an accomplishment for a team that still has a lot of flaws, no doubt.
Definitely, I agree 100%. But no, I don't have a problem with them. If they don't make any moves, my thing is I'm afraid they'll make a move and get nothing in value. But then again, like you said, you could trade a Stevenson or somebody that is playing well now, but you got to get somebody back that's playing well also. So you're just like trading apples for apples.
Yeah, and that was my point when Shaw said, well, to get MLB ready talent. Well, we know that the Reds won't trade prospects. I also don't think that there's a move out there that makes sense to move on from prospects right now. And to trade, if you move on from Stevenson, let's say you do it for MLB ready talent right now and you get a bullpen piece. Cool. You have depth in your bullpen, but now you have a glaring catching issue, and you also just took away one of your few good bats. So now you've created an even bigger issue over here. So that's why I said doing nothing, although it's not ideal and it's not sexy, it still is doing something, because right now this is working. And will it work in September? Maybe not. But to get to September to play meaningful baseball, you have to do it now. And right now they're doing it. So yeah, who knows? Who knows?
And if they trade Stevenson, Duno's not ready. He might be ready to actually hit decently in the majors, because I think he has that talent. He reminds me somewhat batting-wise as a hitter as Sal Stewart.
Yep.
When I saw Sal, met him here with the Dragons, totally down to earth. He had that look. He had that it in his eye. And every game I watch him. He's got that it. Like, this is my game. I'm going to own this. And they have 3 or 4 players like that, they can win.
Yep.
But
they
don't. I love Ellie, but Ellie pisses me off at times. So sometimes he just seems lackadaisical. He's got all the talent in the world, but at times at shortstop, he seems lackadaisical. And the one play that really ticked me off the other day, everybody was criticizing Arroyo for not covering second base. There was a play there in that game that to me was even worse. And that was when, I can't remember, it was Ramirez, hit the ball in the left field corner, and I don't know who was playing left. Gets the ball off the wall, throws the ball in. Ellie has got his back to him as Ramirez is rounding towards second. It skips on the ground. He goes to swipe at it, and then that's when it goes up over, and then it went up over Arroyo's head into right field. And where did Ramirez end up? Third base. That's on Ellie. That's totally on Ellie. It's the lackadaisical plays that bother me.
And he's made a few, and that's the one position that you can't. I mean, I'm not saying you could be lackadaisical at any position, but again, go to the outfield. You wanna stand there and just be a little lethargic at times, then go to the outfield. But at shortstop, especially when the Reds have so many, prospects when it comes to middle infield, why are they, to force him there is kind of wild. But who knows?
Yeah, I agree there.
Who knows? But Mike, is great hearing from you. Thank you.
I think he'd be a great center fielder.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that from multiple people. But
no, I've said that all along. So I'll let you go. I know you probably have other people calling.
So, all right. Well, good hearing from you. Take care.
Thank you. Talk to you later, buddy.
937-518-1410. It's the Justin Kinner Show. We'll see what happens. It's 4:40, and the Reds have yet to make a move. But it sounds like the Reds, I guess, they're still listening to offers when it comes to their bullpen, their expiring relievers, the Brock Burks, the Caleb Fergusons of the world. So we'll see what ultimately happens and what they can get in return. So, like I said, there's not a move out there that I think the Reds can make that's going to get MLB talent for them right now without creating a big hole elsewhere. Trade Tyler Stevenson to the Yankees or the White Sox and get MLB talent back. Cool. You get an outfielder that can hit, but now you have a glaring hole at catcher. Or you keep Tyler Stevenson, and he's hitting really well right now, and you still have issues in the outfield. Like, you're not going to solve all your problems at this deadline with any of these moves, in my opinion. And all you're doing is weakening it if you're just making a move to get prospects. So I'm over this. I'm ready for this trade deadline to come and go so that, we could talk about how horrible the Reds are tomorrow. But yeah, today's been an interesting day. I've learned that making the playoffs is nothing. It's for losers, apparently. How you really win is by trading for prospects and planning for the future. Making the playoffs today, you're a loser. All right. But if you get prospects for the future, you're a winner. I've learned a lot today. I never thought in my 30s I'd be talking about how everything's passing me by, but I've learned a lot today. Winning, bad. Losing, quitting, good. Wow.
Save big money and get everything you need for your staining project when you shop at Menards. Pittsburgh's Paramount Stain is a premium exterior wood stain and sealant in one. It provides exceptional waterproofing protection and is ready for rain in 2 hours after application. Save big on all our staining products. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enon. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Due to recent demand, our office is now issuing boat registrations for your convenience. This new service will be available at our downtown Dayton auto title location. We can help with new boats, renewals, and also ownership changes. Go to weregisterboats.com for more info.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
I loved playing high school sports. I loved the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, all the pageantry, and I wanted to keep playing. But I graduated. No colleges called, and neither did the pros. So, to stay close to the game I loved, I decided to become a high school official. You know, a referee. When I played high school sports, I learned the importance of integrity, good sportsmanship, and respect for the rules. Now, as a high school official, I get to help model these same values to others. Maybe the colleges and the pros didn't call, but the kids in Ohio did. And now, I'm enjoying the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, and all the pageantry of high school sports all over again.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process. What defines Ohio? A place that dares to go first and never looks back. There's no slowing us down. At Jobs Ohio, our mission is clear. Strengthen job opportunities and empower Ohio's workforce. Another reason why Ohio is now ranked the #1 state for business by CNBC. This is what unstoppable feels like. We did it together, Ohio. Our time is now. See Ohio's momentum at jobsohio.com/Ohio's time.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a Monday. Man, oh man, what a weird show today. I'm about to put to rest all the trade watch talk until tomorrow for trade recap talk. But yeah. I mean, I'm pulling up the standings real quick. I want to look at all the loser teams. How about the Tampa Rays, 65-46? You know, they're going to make the playoffs. I just learned from Shaw that making the playoffs is no big deal. Losers. How about the Yankees in the mix? A bunch of losers as well. And the Red Sox doing everything that they can to fight back into it, to make the loser tournament at the end. I've learned today that making the playoffs is bad and that you should quit. If you're in the playoff contention, you should quit. Trying to make the playoffs is bad. That's what losers do, apparently. How about the loser Houston Astros sitting atop their division, 58-55? 2.5 games on the Texas Rangers. And look at the winners, the cool teams at the bottom, like the Angels, 43-69. 14.5 games back of their division, 23 games back of the wild card. I mean, I'm so jealous of the Angels. Man, they're not even going to sniff the playoffs. I'm so jealous of the Angels. I mean, they're so bad, and it's so cool. Their fans are so lucky. How about the Braves have an 8-game lead on the Phillies, sitting atop the division in the East in the National League, 67-45. What a bunch of bums. Man, and here the Reds are, losers in last place. But they're trying to dig themselves out of last place, and people are mad at that. What a loser franchise trying to win games. They should just get rid of all these players so they could continue losing and remain a winner. And don't get me started on that loser ass Dodger franchise. 2 straight World Series. Nerds. Oh, I'm the Dodgers. I'll win World Series. That's what losers do, according to some. The Dodgers should trade away Shohei Ohtani. They just got Scooball. They should just trade him away. They should quit the final 2 months of the season. They need prospects. They need to get prospects for the future. That's all that matters, apparently. Prospects, future. I tell you what, 2 months from now, that's the future I care about. So I have no problem if the Reds do stuff that's going to help them make the playoffs. And, by the way, saying all this, there's a good chance as there's an hour and 10 minutes left, the Reds can start pulling the trigger on a lot of last-minute moves and appease everybody. So we'll see what happens. I'm seeing Nick Kirby and the guys on Chatterbox say there's no trade too small. What are you talking about? And a trade too small, sure, you get a prospect back, but you've taken a good player away. I'm done. You guys know where I stand on that. Let's switch over to college football. USC Notre Dame are going to renew their rivalry, and it'll be a home and home, and it won't start until 2030. And I was a big fan of USC telling Notre Dame to kick rocks because Notre Dame was trying to do what they always do. They don't want to, operate like all the other Division I, premier programs, but they want you to adhere to them. But even though everyone else has all the advantages, like they have the conferences, the conference championship opportunities, they have all these things that Notre Dame needs, but they follow the money, which is fine. But what I got tired of was seeing conferences and other programs bow down to Notre Dame. Notre Dame could chase the money, but don't help them get it. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, people getting mad at the Dodgers. Don't get mad at the Dodgers. Get mad at the teams that keep sending them the talent. The Dodgers were the villain over the weekend. To me, the team that I was pissed off at was the Tigers. You're the one that gave them Scooball. When the Reds send Elly De La Cruz to the Dodgers in a few years, I'm not going to be mad at the Dodgers. I'm going to be mad at the Reds because we're supposed to feel bad for the Reds for not keeping Elly De La Cruz when they sent him there. So that's kind of how I view the Notre Dame situation. During COVID, when everyone went conference only, the ACC, bunch of cowards. By the way, the ACC benefited. How did the ACC benefit from Notre Dame joining the ACC for 1 year? They didn't. They didn't benefit at all. I mean, you could say, well, their team made the playoff and this, that, and the other. So I guess there was that, but there was no long-term outlook for that situation whatsoever. And they squandered it. The ACC could have looked at Notre Dame, the big, bad fighting Irish, and said, if you want to play football this year, you need to join the conference for more than just 1 year. Nope, we're only going to do it for 1 year. Well, we don't really need you. Because at that time, you had Clemson, who was viewed as a powerhouse at that time, right? You had DJ Uiagalelei. Dang, I haven't said his name in a few years, but at the time that was a big name, right? But I'm just saying, at that time, the ACC, the Big Ten, had leverage over Notre Dame. You want to join our conference, it can't just be for a year. And if you want to play college football, you need to join our conference. So you need to join it for 3, 4, 5 years. You had the leverage and you chose not to move with it. The ACC was so desperate that they let Notre Dame be a football, a football member for 1 year. I was so pissed at that. You bailed them out. I'm so tired of teams bailing them out. And I've always been irritated by that because Notre Dame tries to act like college football needs them when they need a lot of things to go right for them to continue doing what they're doing. And too many times teams bail them out as these super conferences have been formed. And, we're starting to see that maybe playing premier teams in your non-conference might prove to be more costly than anything. Ask Texas a year ago. People say, well, Texas missed the playoffs last year because they lost 2 games in the SEC. No, they missed the playoffs last year because they played Ohio State while playing an SEC schedule. Just like if Ohio State misses the playoffs this year, it's not going to be because they lose to an Indiana and maybe an Oregon. It's going to be because if they stub their toe against Texas in the non-con when they could have just played Ball State or some no-name, that's going to be why. So to me, as this has gone along more and more, I want to continue to see these non-con matchups. Don't get me wrong. But I also, if Ohio State ever came out and said, we're going to cut ties with the Alabama series and the Georgia series and those series moving forward, I would understand it. I would be in support of it from that perspective. I think it would make good business sense. But that's not my point here. My point is that Notre Dame needs the Big Ten, needs the SEC, needs the ACC. Notre Dame needs those teams more than they need Notre Dame. USC is going to get to play Oregon and Ohio State and Michigan and Indiana. They are going to get a quality schedule in the Big Ten every year that they don't need to put a buffer game in the non-con to bolster their playoff resume. You know what I mean? Like Ohio State this year is playing arguably their most difficult schedule in the history of their program. If you take Texas out, it's still one of the most difficult schedules in the history of the program. If you take Texas out and you put Akron in place of Texas, you still got to go play at USC. You still have to play at Indiana. You still have to play Oregon, and you still have to play Michigan. But they're keeping Texas on the schedule, which I'm fine with. I'm just saying, like, you don't need Texas, though. If Ohio State makes the playoff, they could, go 2-3 or 3-2 against all those teams and still make the playoffs unless you lose to Texas, right? You don't need Texas on that schedule. Kudos to them for keeping them there. That's the type of program Ohio State is. No problem with it. Kudos to Texas for doing the same thing, right? But Texas got burned last year because they challenged themselves. So the point is the Big Ten doesn't need an SEC team on their non-conference schedule. They're going to be challenged enough in conference play that their resume will be fine. Notre Dame, though, their whole schedule is pieced together, and they need the USCs of the world. They need those premier programs of the world to fill out their schedule, to give themselves an opportunity to build a playoff resume-worthy schedule. So it's one of those things where I'm like, USC, you owned Notre Dame. You had the leverage there. And to USC's credit, what they said to Notre Dame was, if you want to play us, you're going to play us on our terms. We're not playing you on yours. And it went away. And Notre Dame tried blaming USC, and USC, to their credit, looked at Notre Dame and said, we didn't try to get rid of the series. We just told you we have to play the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Oregons and the Indianas of the world. We don't want to put Notre Dame at the tail end of our schedule after going through that. We'll kick off the season against you. And Notre Dame they thought that, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. They could do that. They found a way. USC and Notre Dame will renew their rivalry matchup starting in 2030 with a 4-game series that will feature back-to-back season openers. The schools announced on Monday. USC got their way. Notre Dame's reunion with USC, however, also will coincide with the departure of defending national champion Indiana from the Fighting Irish's future schedules, sources told ESPN's Adam Rittenberg. So we will not see Indiana and Notre Dame, which kind of stinks, right? Because with Indiana, like if you would have told me 10 years ago that we're going to cancel the Notre Dame Indiana series, I would have been like, yawn. I don't even think that's news. Cool. Super. But I think that's a big deal. I think that Indiana Notre Dame now would be a much bigger game than USC Notre Dame, even though there's the rivalry historical significance of that. So I get that too. But like that's fine. Beggars can't be choosers. It is what it is. I get it. Notre Dame doesn't want to play USC and Indiana, assuming that Indiana can continue. I asked that to Phil Steele a few weeks ago. I was like, what's the staying power of Indiana moving forward? And everyone says the same thing. As long as Kurt Signetti's there, the staying power is pretty strong. But this rivalry, as you guys know, it goes all the way back to the 20s. I mean, we're talking a century-long rivalry that's going to be on a hiatus until 2030, but it is coming back. But like I said, Notre Dame has, they try to act like they're this big, bad, independent program, and they may be independent of a conference, but they are very dependent on these conference schools to play them. They're playing Wisconsin. Notre Dame is playing Wisconsin. They kick off the season on September 6th against Wisconsin. right? Like, which is crazy, by the way. It's the 3rd. I mean, we're talking a month. College football kicks off in a month. How wild is that? They play Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina. I mean, this schedule is so freaking bad. I mean, they do play Miami. But, like, if you're Miami, like, Miami plays in the ACC. That's not a super strong conference. So you need Notre Dame. So that schedule's that's going to stay put. That's why you see like the Boston colleges and you see those teams like BYU, they need Notre Dame, but Notre Dame needs them too. North Carolina, if they ever want to, under Bill Belichick, build themselves into a playoff contender, you need the, Notre Dame's on the schedule and all this. But, I'm looking at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, you get enough in your conference that, if you look at their schedule this season, Wisconsin, plays at Penn State. They play against USC. All right. Now, they are very lucky. Wisconsin could have a bounce back year if they get it all put together. Luke Fickell, one reason that he wasn't fired last year is because the program came out and said, we don't feel like we've given him the best resources and opportunity to succeed. So because of that, we're going to bring him back and invest into the program more. Well, this schedule for Wisconsin, I mean, Notre Dame could be the nail in their coffin, but they play at Penn State. They play USC. But they avoid Michigan, they avoid Ohio State, they avoid Oregon, they avoid Indiana. I mean, that's a pretty crazy schedule for Wisconsin right there when it comes to making the playoffs. But I got sidetracked with that. The bottom line is Notre Dame needs Wisconsin more than the other way around. Notre Dame needs USC more than the other way around. USC is doing Notre Dame a favor. It's charity. Notre Dame needs USC more than USC needs Notre Dame. Simple as that. USC will be challenged every year. Notre Dame needs teams to continue to put them on because as this goes along and these conferences, get deeper and deeper, you're going to get to a point where you're looking at Notre Dame, who, by the way, gets a special crybaby clause because as much as I love Marcus Freeman, apparently we all collectively, we don't like when Marcus Freeman cries. When he tears up, we have to make special rules so that crybaby Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame program can get special rules made for them. Like if they finish in the top 12, they are guaranteed a playoff spot, which just so you know, the number 12th team in the country last year did not make the playoffs. So this is a special crybaby clause because I think the committee and everyone, they get so tired of the way that Marcus Freeman screams and bawls and cries. And the same thing with the athletic director. Don't get me started on that crybaby athletic director for the Fighting Crying Irish. So we need to stop. Teams need to stop doing them favors and bailing them out. They're a great brand. They're a historic brand. But for them being independent, they're a lot more dependent on these schools than we want to give them credit for. They need Wisconsin more than Wisconsin needs them. They need USC more than USC needs them. I'm actually a little, I love that. I actually love that Notre Dame USC will kick off the season for a couple years starting in 30, but I also hate teams bailing them out. USC, you got Oregon, you got Ohio State, you got Indiana, you got Michigan. You didn't need Notre Dame. But USC won though because they're kicking off the season. They got what they wanted. And Notre Dame, they kind of had to bow down to USC has not been a national championship relevant program for quite some time, and Notre Dame had to bow down to them. That was a win for me from that perspective. All right, let me go back to the X machine. Let me do one refresh here. Anything? Ooh, this is interesting. The White Sox just acquired a catcher, and it's not Tyler Stevenson. If the Yankees do not acquire Tyler Stevenson, that emotional home run that we saw from Stevenson in the series finale yesterday against the Pirates at GABP, that may not have been the final at bat for Tyler Stevenson in a Reds jersey. Interesting. So, is what it is. But yeah, we'll talk more about this stuff tomorrow. I appreciate everyone listening. Shaw, even you, even though you yelled at me, it sounded like you were close to cursing. And I don't like cursing on this program. Just saying. But you have broke the rule more than anybody else. I'll just put it that way. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your night. I can't believe it's already past 5. It's 5 o'clock. Less than an hour until the trade deadline. The Reds have yet to make a move. And it sounds like Tyler Stevenson's list of options just shrunk down to one team. Will the Yankees acquire Tyler Stevenson? Will Tyler Stevenson be a Red tomorrow? Will Caleb Ferguson be a Red tomorrow? All right. Will Brock Burke be a Red tomorrow? Will Suarez be a Red tomorrow? Sounds like Brady Singer will be. Sounds like Ellie and Chase Burns, yes, and Hunter Green will be. But man, oh man, the Reds, if they do nothing, to me, that's still something. It says to me that they like this group right now to continue to compete, to keep them in position to make the playoffs. Who knows? We'll talk about it tomorrow. Until tomorrow, this has been the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has never been